All right, part 13 of The Steelers Suck. And now, this one is going to be about how poorly we have done at replacing players that we've cut or traded or just, gotten rid of or whatever. Right? And now, I'm going to be giving a number of examples in this video, but I'm going to touch up on the first one, which is the thumbnail. So now, Deontay Johnson. Now look, even though for those who've known me on here knew that back when we had Deontay Johnson, he was growing on me at first, but then I just started to not like him because he kept running backwards half the time he caught the football. And it's like, and not only that, he would also commit so many penalties. He would run his mouth like he's an elite wide receiver when he was really just another mediocre receiver at best. I mean, he had good route running, but other than that, he wasn't that good. And while I did agree with us getting rid of him the time that we did, it's just that, I forget when we got rid of him, but either way, it's like, while I did agree with us getting rid of him, the problem was this. We didn't replace him with anybody better. And our receiving core, when it was already shit with him, it's gotten even worse without him. Because this team is so mismanaged, they refuse to replace what they lost, and they always try to dumpster dive to see if they can find a replacement there. This team is just fucking stupid. But anyway, so that's one example, right? And now another is this. So ever since Maurkice Pouncey retired, we struggled a little just to find a center to replace him. Now, okay, we have Zach Frazier, who's decent, but it's like before that, it's like right after Maurkice Pouncey retired after the 2020 season. So like we draft Kendrick Green, who obviously absolutely sucked. Now, granted, the coaching did screw him over. I will say that. But still, it doesn't excuse how bad he was. And in the 2021 draft, we could have had Creed Humphrey, who is arguably the best center in the game right now. He was drafted by Kansas City. But right when we drafted Pat Freiermuth, we could have gotten him. Even with the bullshit excuse of, it's sometimes it's not about getting a need. It's about, getting the best player available, right? And I think I brought that up in one of my previous videos. I think it was most recently, one of the more recently in part 11, I think. But even with that, it's like, Pat Freiermuth as a tight end, let's be real, he's not that good. He's not terrible. He's serviceable at times, but he also tends to drop a lot of passes. And we took that over Creed Humphrey when we needed a center. And instead, we tried replacing him with scrubs, hoping that they would magically turn into something good. But yeah, this team is just fucking stupid, and they just don't know what they're doing when it comes to letting go of players and replacing them with somebody just as good, or at least almost as good, or if not better. And remember that video I made about how about how players are constantly calling calling us out after they had played for us, talking about how pathetic the coaching and the ownership was and all that. Remember when I said that it wouldn't surprise me if that continued to grow more and more where nobody wants to play for us, leads to this team crashing and burning to a 3 or 4 win season? And this is another serious candidate. Okay, this is another one. Like, if we constantly keep letting good or decent players and even star players go, only to replace it with people that are, much worse, like, don't be surprised that if that leads to us having a crash and burn season. Don't be surprised. Because, like, this team needs to, we need to stop dumpster diving for nobodies after we had lost a key piece. Like, no, we need to go out and look for somebody who's actually, like, qualified. Well, I was thinking about, talking about how we haven't been able to replace Big Ben since he retired. I feel like, number one, that would be too obvious, and two, I covered that in part 2 of my video in this Steelers Suck series. So I figured there's no point in further covering that. But with that said, so we got those 2 examples. And then, of course, you can also say with our coaching staff and then how we've been, because, the hiring from within constantly. So, like, an offensive coordinator, we went from having Bruce Arians from, I think it was 2007 to 2011, who was good. And the guy before him, I forget. I think he was with Bill Cowher for years. I forget his name. I think he was the OC during bench rookie year. He was a good OC too. And then, of course, after Bruce Arians, we had Todd Haley for several years. And while Todd Haley wasn't great, I know the fan base hated him a lot, but compared to what we've dealt with after him, I would take Todd Haley in a heartbeat over some of the following names that I'm about to get into. Because after we lost to the Jags in the divisional round, we fired him instead of the coordinator that was far more of a problem in Keith Butler, who is one of the worst DCs we have ever had. And so we replaced Todd Haley by not even thinking outside the box. We hired Randy Fichtner. And of course, he was another shitty offensive coordinator. But then again, Tomlin also had control for a lot of the plays. And then, just when we think Randy Fichtner wasn't bad enough, Matt Canada comes along, who was even worse. Who again was hired from within. His constant jet sweeps, his constant passes behind the line of scrimmage. But again, Tomlin was also responsible for a lot of those play calls too. Because Tomlin, deep down inside, he knows that these people are incompetent. And that's why he takes control over it for himself, even though he sucks at the play calling too. While Arthur Smith may be a little better than Matt Canada, Arthur Smith is still garbage. So yeah, hiring from within killed us at offensive coordinator. It has killed us at offensive line coach, going from Mike Munchak, I think his name was. Now, granted, I think the offensive line talent did kind of carry him, but still, I would take Munchak in a heartbeat over the scrub we got now in that fucking DEI hire in Pat Meyer. So yeah, and we got to him by constantly hiring from within rather than bringing people in from the outside. And of course, defensive coordinator, Dick LeBeau. He's one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. We went from him to then Keith Butler, who absolutely sucked. And now, of course, we have Terry Austin, who is far worse than Keith Butler, as if Butler wasn't bad enough. The more we keep doing these in-house hires, or even when we don't hire from within, we end up going for somebody on the outside who absolutely sucks. Like we did with Terry Austin. Because you want to know another one team in particular that got themselves into long-term trouble because of in-house hires constantly? That's right, the Giants. They're one of those teams that really hurt themselves with hiring from within over and over. And hey, the way it's looking, we just might end up being just as bad as the Giants have been. But of course, even with the Giants, they've won a playoff game more recently than we have. Let that sink in. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm tired of seeing us, replace players that we lost with nobody. Because it constantly hurt us over the years. And like I said, do not be surprised if this is one of, if not the main reason why we eventually have a crash and burn season where we only win 3 or 4 games. It could happen. As I was saying in the part 8 of our former players calling out our issues, to where it could lead to nobody wanting to play for us. But yeah, it's like, it's another reason why this team just has absolutely no future. And in 2 videos from now, I'm going to be explaining why a complete teardown is the way to go. I don't know how long the video will be, but I'm going to work on it. And of course, before that, next video is going to be about Aaron Rodgers. Of this series, the Steelers suck. But that'll pretty much do it. I'm out.